Okay, welcome everybody to the first ever iPacing podcast. My name is Justin Krasneski. This is a little thing I'm trying out, brand new. I don't have any experience doing a podcast or anything like that, any weekly kind of talk show, anything. But I'm hoping this will be something cool that we can do. I'm going to try to get as many different people involved in this every week as I can. We'll talk about iRacing. We'll talk probably a little bit about real racing, about real life stuff, but this will be primarily iRacing. But yes, this is the first ever iPacing podcast. So first of all, today my guests are going to be River Hayes and Steele Lankford, both members of HRA and JKR. Great drivers. We're going to talk a little bit about what they've been through, how they got to where they've done, things they've done recently, things they're looking forward to, and then we'll get to some things that I've done the past couple of weeks. So first of all, I'm going to talk about myself a little bit. My name is Justin Krasneski, like I said. I'm 23 years old, just turned 23. Been iRacing for what'll be 8 years in June. 8 years, so since I was a wee little boy. Other than that, I'm a pretty simple guy. You'll probably see me a lot on track with a 3 after my name. That is the alt account because the main account is glorified. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about myself, what I drive, how things have been going lately in a little bit. From now, let me try to grab River and Steele. All right, so I've got River and Steele with me now. Welcome, guys.
What's up?
Howdy.
I appreciate you guys coming and doing this. We're kind of playing it by ear. I'm just going to kind of ask you some questions about things that you got going on in the iRacing world or things like that, and we'll just kind of play it by ear. And obviously, this is the first one, so if it's terrible, it's terrible. That sound good?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, River, I'll start with you. First of all, tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into iRacing, things that you do, just kind of how racing got on your radar, something that's a daily part of your life.
All right. I have been a NASCAR fan my entire life. My older brother, he started out racing dirt track and watching NASCAR, and I grew up with him watching racing. And yeah, and 2 years ago, he was the one that got me into iRacing. He said that if I wanted to pursue racing, I should get on iRacing and see what I could do. And I started about 2 years ago, and I've had great success, and we're still growing. So yeah.
And Steele?
I've always grown up around racing, going to tracks with my dad. There's pictures of me on the pit wall at Martinsville in a handheld baby carrier. So I've always grown up around racing, and basically, once this whole virus started and racing was shut down, I was one of the many thousands of people who joined iRacing then, and I've been doing pretty decent at it since then, I feel like.
Well, thank you both. I appreciate you both being here. I hope this will not be the only time you guys appear. I'm going to start with you, River, here. We're going to talk a little bit about iRacing specifically. So, recently you got 7,300 oval iRating. So, for those of you that don't know, your iRating is based on your finishing position in iRacing races. So, the higher the better. The best drivers in the world are just above 10,000 right now. The average is probably somewhere between 2,000 and maybe 2,500. And River just got to 7,300 on oval, so that's asphalt oval. River, tell me a little bit about that, your path to get there, and of course, recently over the past 3 months or so, you've made a much bigger leap than your first time on iRacing.
Yeah. Basically, when you start out on iRacing, you start out at 1350, of course, and then you progress through iRating as you finish better in races. And for your first year, honestly, you just got to learn the ropes, learn what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you want to do, and what you don't want to do, and then grow from there. And you race some big dogs straight out the gate. There's no gates. There's no filters. You have to throw yourself into it, and it's been a grind. I found out that I'm pretty good in the late model, of course, and before that, I was a street stock guy. I came from streeters, and I was pretty good at streeters, but I realized that the racing was pretty dirty. And as soon as I grew out of that and I got into open stuff, I started to enjoy iRacing more, and I grew this Discord, and I got all these guys in here, and I really enjoy racing now. And of course, like I'm really good some weeks, and some weeks I'm just good, better than average. So, a few weeks ago when we went to Wilkesboro in the late models, I grew ton. I mean, 600 I rating plus. And, when you hit on something that good, you just gotta sort of use it as an advantage that you just grow off of. So, I'm grateful to have gotten here, and hopefully we can keep going up.
Yeah, when we started taking late models a little more seriously, almost 6 months ago now, you were good, but I think the theory was that guys like Daniel Williamson, Curl, some of those guys were pretty much unbeatable. And I think now the only two people that give you regular trouble are kind of regarded as two of the best guys on the whole service in Parker Retzlaff and Ty Majeski. So tell me about how you kind of ascended to being almost the DW and Curl killer, and what you need to do a little bit more to improve to really be the best at this.
Well, I think the biggest thing was the change in tire model. So basically, if everyone doesn't know, the late model on asphalt has been the same tire model for, I don't know, years. Probably much since the service came out. So with this past build, they changed the tires. They now start out slower, and you sort of get faster over the course of a run, which is crazy. So that's really leveled out the playing field for everyone. I feel like people that I've worked with have helped me get better. I can't take all the credit for it, but I've found a base that works, and I've used it to change over the course of all the tracks every week. So um, now to get better, I think we're just going to need that extra step of, um, finding that extra tenth, finding that extra 2/10, which is hard to do whenever you get to this level of racing. Some of the best guys in iRating on the service run late models because it's fun to do. Usually it's a non-toxic environment, and it's always a fun time racing up against those guys.
Yeah, so like you were saying, you race a lot of late model, occasionally some streeters, but this past week you've done some tour mods at Southern National, some SKs at Myrtle, and of course the late model at what you consider one of your better tracks, and I tend to agree with you at Norks Wilkesboro. So, but then you've had a little bit of struggles. I know we've been trying to get into the super late model recently and haven't won one yet. It's been going well, but not great. So tell me about this past week of racing, things you've won, things you should have done better at, etc.
So the mods, of course, is a great time as well. With the latest build, they changed the mod tires as well, so it's sort of a learning curve for me. The SK has been a struggle to learn how to build those sets again, and also how to drive them. But usually in tour mods, I usually tend to race fixed, just because I have so many things that I have to build for anyway that I usually just tend to not want to build those, and just race fixed. But with the super lates, I feel like fixed is just not necessary. So I've been trying to actually get into open building for the super lates. The super lates are just faster and they're more powerful up off the corners, and it's harder to get a grasp on what those cards need. And with the latest build, those tires changed on that car as well. Some of the regulars have already figured out how to use it. I've just been struggling with being too loose or too tight, and I haven't found the happy medium yet, but we're going to keep working on it and see if we can't get better.
Of course. And so finally, before I get to Steele here, what are you looking forward to next week, the next couple of weeks, things that you have circled on your calendar besides the stuff that you just run normally?
Yeah, I want to keep getting into the super lates and seeing if we can't get better. I'm going to try to improve every week. I've ran 3 races in the supers this season, and I've improved every time. So hopefully we can get ourselves a win in the next race that we participate in. And I'm going to keep on running late models, keep on running tours. I'm sure there's a few truck races coming up that I'd want to do. And yeah, so we're just going to keep grinding out.
Yeah, and actually, before I get to Steele, I know you've been trying to do a little bit more YouTube and streaming and stuff recently. So if you want to plug that, go right ahead so people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can come over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/riverhaze81. Go follow me on Twitter as well. I just won a race tonight that I'm going to be getting a shirt for. I'm going to be posting pictures over there, r_haze81 on Twitter. And go follow me or subscribe to me on YouTube at River Haze Gaming as well for all of my other content.
Awesome, perfect. So Steele, now, what you've done a lot the last couple of weeks has kind of been a mixed bag and kind of jumped around from some stuff that we'd maybe normally see you in. So I'm going to start out. You ran a lot of late model at Nashville and a lot of late model at North Wilkesboro. I think those are two of the tracks you enjoy more. I've picked up a lot of wins, have a lot of starts up in the top five of the whole series for, I believe, wins and starts at this point in the season. So tell me a little bit about what the last couple of weeks in the late model have been like for you.
Yeah, I ran a bunch at Myrtle Beach and Nashville here recently. Basically just been getting up every day and running just because I knew I was really tough to beat. And so far this season, basically just late models only, with the exception of like one SK modified race. I've gained 800 I rating just this season alone, and I'm up to 4666 currently, which is only four below my peak. And I really just found something at Nashville um, that was really good, and same with North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, and so I know it's maybe this was last week, but I think it was this week that you got your first win in the LMP2 at Long Beach. So what are your thoughts on two of those newer pieces of content that have come out recently?
I really like the LMP2. It's a real easy car to drive. Um, and Long Beach, I feel like also, it's a cool track. It's very tight. Um, Running in the LMP2 class, you have to be very patient getting around lap cars, especially the GTEs, because the GT3s it's easier just to blow by, but the GTEs you have to be more methodical. And there's a couple places where if you get behind them, you have to wait about three corners. So it's all about the luck of when you catch your lap cars and when the people around you catch them.
Yeah, so the other new things that I've seen you win has been the Pro 4s. I know that's a recent purchase for you at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. And then the Skip Barber car, which is a car I really like a lot. It's a ton of fun to drive, but I don't get to drive it very often. But you've been doing a ton of that. I think the Pro 4 has been a just this week thing, but I think you're on 3 weeks now of running the Skippy this season. So tell me kind of how you got into those cars, what you think, and if you'd recommend them to other people trying to find a new series.
Oh yeah, the Skip Barber is honestly one of my favorite series on the service right now, especially in the roadside. Basically, after last season, my SR dropped down to a C license, and I could no longer run IMSA or the European series. And I wanted to get up into that. And the Skip Barber was actually one of my first cars I bought just from seeing it on all of the iRacing videos. Is It's a very popular car, and I bought it a couple months ago and actually never drove it. And then it was one night I was up really late and I was looking to see what was racing, and I saw the Skip Barbers were running at Olton, and I already had the car, and Olton's now a free track, and I was like, heck, I'm running Skip Barbers, and drove it and instantly fell in love with it. It's a very um, easy car to learn. Um, it's pretty easy to drive. I mean, it's hard to wreck. It's very grippy, and it's not a 200-mile-an-hour car. You've got plenty of time to react, which is a good thing.
I definitely agree with you. I love the car. It's like a baby formula car, which makes it easy to drive, easy to toss around and a great learning tool. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked River. What are some things that you're looking forward to on the sim, both next week and week 4 in official races, and maybe throughout the rest of the season for points and stuff?
I'm not really running for points and anything. I'm mainly just trying to chase wins. But I'm definitely looking forward to late models next week at Lanier, because that's basically the track that sort of pushed me over the edge as like this might be something that I'll be good at. And then super late models next week at Southern National. Um, I haven't ran the super much this season, but I had success last season at Myrtle Beach. and at North Wilkesboro picking up, I don't know, 5 or 6 wins. So I like Southern National, and hopefully I'll be able to get some more wins next week in that.
Absolutely. I think that you definitely have a shot at being in the top 2 or 3 for overall starts and overall wins in the late model this season. So thank you guys both. As for me personally, this week has been a little bit different from what I normally run. On the alt account, I've been doing some Dirt Legends, running that for points, but not really counting points with Dave and River. The goal has kind of been with running Dirt Legends to do something a little bit different, do it weekly and participate every week and learn the tracks, but not really, chase the points like I've done in previous seasons for the Pontiac or anything like that. I think River is second or third overall in points right now, so that's been going okay. We still got some work to do, and I need to get a little bit better. I'm not very good at dirt, and certainly not in Dirt Legends. And some of the other things I've been doing weekly are the new TCR series. I know Matt Callan, one of the other members of the HRA Discord, was looking for a new road series back at the beginning of this season, 3 or 4 weeks ago. He was on vacation, but he wanted to look for a new road series, and we looked through it and we thought that the Audi TCR looked like an interesting car that might come up, and so both purchased that, and it's been pretty good. I've run both the Michelin Pilot IMSA series and the Turn Racing Touring Car Challenge, which is a short sprint race, fixed setups, using just that car, no multi-class with the GT4. So that's been a lot of fun to do the last couple of weeks. We've grabbed a couple of wins, a couple of strong ones, and I actually really like the car. I definitely recommend the TCR to anyone that's looking for a new road series. It's slotted right at C class, so definitely a nice entry-level multi-class series after my beloved PCC, of course. And the other thing I've dipped into this past week was the LMP1 at Watkins Glen, and I surprised myself winning the pole there. I didn't think I had great short run speed for sure, but of course, in driving a car that fast, especially around LMP2s and GTEs, it's really about traffic management. In a place like Watkins, yes, it has the long straightaway from turn one up the hill to the bus stop, and then, of course, the backstretch of the boot, stuff like that. But at the same time, it can be a place where you get stuck behind a couple of GTs, like the last 2 corners, and lose like 2 or 3 seconds of lap time. So that's been interesting. I won the pole for the only race I've done so far this week, and unfortunately, the other fast guy hit a lap car pretty early in the race, so I had a pretty easy cruise to a victory in that one. But definitely a ton of fun. It's a very difficult car to drive. People say it's like a spaceship from the technology. Well, it drives about as fast as a spaceship. You definitely have to be on your toes and make decisions and make them effectively because there's not a lot of time to think. So once you make a decision, you're kind of in for it. On the main account, it's been the even more interesting week, actually. My goals, I didn't really have a goal for the season or anything like that. I wanted to check off some bucket list stuff, which included pushing more towards double 6,000 iRatings on oval and road asphalt. And that's gone well so far. I thought I got myself in a lot of trouble this week, so I've been trying to do a little bit of rallycross weekly. This week, the guys convinced me to buy North Wilkesboro and try out the late model. River talked earlier how one of his best tracks in the late model, and I needed to get on the action, see what all the fuss is about, and it went pretty well. The first race I did, I went up against one of the better guys in the series and kept up with him, which I was pretty impressed about because I didn't feel like I had great short run pace for sure, but managed to save some nice tires and keep him in sight, which a lot of other guys in that race didn't do. So I was proud of that, but I still wanted that win. I wanted to say I won at North Wilkesboro the first week that I drove it, and hopefully I can get a couple more races in here this weekend before the week is up. But that went pretty well. I won the second race I did there, beat a couple of guys that are big in the late model community, such as Carl Sundberg. He had a great race, had some trouble in lap traffic, but it was good to see him out there because he's big for the late model series. And then everybody knows that I drive the Pontiac every single day, every single everything. Definitely all Pontiac, and it's one of those things that I'm pretty much known for. I'm very thankful to have won that past series championship. But I wanted to try out the Mustang. I wanted to try something a little bit different. I wanted to do something maybe a little bit outside my comfort zone, something that I hopefully wouldn't struggle at, but something that I could learn, try to pick up a little bit more. But so I accidentally registered for a race in that the other night. I meant to register for a practice, and I don't know if I was tired or not paying attention or what I was doing or meant to unregister for the race or what it was. But so I ended up in there with Antonio Crino, who's a great driver, runs a lot of Mustangs. Certainly not his first laps in the car competitively like it was for me. So that was a mistake, but I guess fortunately or unfortunately for him, he had a connection issue, and there were 3 of us total, and the third place guy had an issue right in the first lap with a Mazda, so he dropped back and fell 30 or 40 seconds behind. So I, again, cruised to a pretty easy one just kind of by default, which I guess was good. I got a little bit of Mustang seat time, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for in the Mustang. But the other thing I want to do this week is a C Open at Chicagoland. I haven't been able to get the time or get enough practice before a race to run one of those yet, but there's still hope. We still got all weekend and Monday. As for next week, I'm kind of looking to do more hodgepodge of stuff. I'd like to do a GRC at Daytona. I'm trying to run one of those a week for the whole season to see if I can, again, not chase points, but just compete for points and see how I stack out just from, not points watching, just running one or two a week and see how that works out. The Audi TCR, I'm hoping we can get Matt on this week and run some of that. It's at Summit Point fixed. Those run every hour, so that would be nice to spend some time with him. He's been on vacation. Hoping to make my first couple starts in the UMP Mods. Those are at Lanier, a track I love. I've done some testing and probably not very fast, but it's going to be a little bit different from the Dirt Legend, a little bit different from the Dirt Limited late model that I usually drive when I'm running a bigger car on dirt. So hopefully that'll be fun. And the Dirt Super late model goes to Lanier as well, so that's going to be something I'm going to try out. Figured it'd be the perfect series to try to advance my license class, have some fun. I'm sure I'll be very, very slow and die a lot, but I got plenty of SR to burn from all those Dirt Legends and limited late models and stuff. So why not try something a little bit different? That'll be up on my stream at J Crizzle iRacer later this week, maybe Monday night. And then of course it is Pontiac week in PCC at Summit Point, so you'll see me there probably 10 or 12, maybe even 15 or 20 times this week in the Pontiac. So we're not going to do the thing that I did last time they were here at the end of season 4, where I ran like 30 or 31 races over the week. That was definitely a lot of late nights, and although we ran pretty well, gained a lot of I rating, gained a lot of wins, it was not something I would recommend. Would be running 3 or 4 of those every night. So that's what's coming up for me in the next week. And other than that, it's just been Daytona 24-hour prep. I know a lot of guys are excited about getting ready to do the first enduro of the 2021 season, so we've been building sets for that, and it's been a good time. So that's what's going on with me in the sim racing world. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this thing up?
Not really. Just get the Skip Barber and get your dirt road license up to a D and run some Pro 4s because they're really fun and we need some more participation and officials.
Absolutely, River.
Yeah, make sure you guys go follow Justin. Go follow Justin on Twitch. Go and subscribe to him if he makes a YouTube channel. We'll probably plug it at the end. Everybody in the Discord, I just want to say thank you to everybody. You guys make it worth doing. So, yeah, thank you guys.
Yes, this will be going up on my YouTube channel at Justin Krzyzewski. Should be able to find it fairly easily. Otherwise, if you're in one of these Discords, I will be posting it, linking it, and doing all the normal stuff. Of course, remember to go follow River on Twitch and Twitter. I couldn't think of the word for Twitter. Duh. And make sure you keep up on all he's doing. As he chases like 12,000 iRating. So hopefully he'll be the first ever to get to 12,000 iRating. Big thank you to River and Steele and everybody else that came up with this idea, made it possible. It's been great. I hope we can continue to do this weekly, kind of revisit the previous week of sim racing and move on and talk about the upcoming week and cool stuff that happens, because I know we talk in Discord pretty much every night, but there's a lot of other cool things that we don't necessarily remember come behind the scenes that are really cool to share with the community and cool accomplishments that we get to do. So thank you guys both so much, and we'll see you next time.